So there are moments in our lives that define us, and for me, that moment was when I first stepped aboard the inland seas, and that was 16 years ago. Looking back now, I realize that was the moment that actually changed my life and shaped my career. Of course, at the time, I had no idea. I was just having fun on a sailboat. I always had some interest in water. I always liked being in the water and that sort of thing, and I had aspirations of being a marine biologist, as I think a lot of young kids do, of, you want to play with dolphins. So when I heard of the opportunity to stay aboard a ship and do science at the same time, I couldn't pass it up. The day finally came. I was beside myself with excitement. My parents probably know that I couldn't even sleep the night before. Once we pulled up, I was in awe of the inland seas. It was the biggest ship I had ever seen. Our boat was only 21 feet, so this thing was massive and huge. Little did I realize that once I got aboard, not only was I the youngest person in age, I was also the only freshman in high school, so I only had juniors and seniors aboard with me, so it was very intimidating. And also the other girls that were aboard were from rivalry schools, so I definitely was not feeling the best aboard. So soon we, introduced ourselves, had the safety talk underway, and everybody got separated into groups to get the ship underway. I, of course, was kind of last picked. My last name was Weinert at the time. I'm married now. But Tom came up to me, and it was my first interaction with Captain Tom Kelly, and I'll never forget it. It's my favorite memory of him. He came up to me and he was like, "Maggie, come with me to the back deck." And I was like, all right, following him kind of blindly. So we made our way back to the ship's wheel. We were literally no more than inches away from the dock. The bumpers are barely off of the dock, and he steps about 2 feet away and tells me to take the wheel. And of course I did. But my parents even have a picture of me from the shore. I am terrified. It's the largest ship I've ever steered in my entire life, and the one nice thing was it made me not think about the fact that I was the youngest girl and that I was a freshman. It made me come out of my shell and give me the confidence, if I can steer this giant ship, I can do anything, basically. It was the Young Women in Science program, so it's an overnight trip, so I got to sleep aboard the inland seas. During those 2 days, we have to do a research project that we then present to our friends and family once we come back to shore. So the group that I was with decided to do size distribution of zebra mussels in 2 different areas. Ironically, in high school, of course, you think, what is this useful in my real life, in my real job, day to day? I really do measure zebra and quagga mussels in my real life. So, with that, I was fortunate enough that I actually got to be a student a second time. So this was actually my freshman year in college. I actually got to go back aboard the inland seas. Never thought that would happen and was so excited. So I'd already declared my major as biology with a freshwater emphasis, so I started having my classes where I was learning real things and doing real science. So when I was bored the second time, I kind of stayed back and let the girls that were new to the experience get the full picture, because I loved it so much. I wanted to do everything, but I held myself back. So it was while I was on there, I asked, "Hey, do you guys have internships?" And it was almost as simple as just asking that I pretty much had an internship with Inland Seas for 2 summers. It was that experience that I gained during my internships that helped with getting my internship as well as getting a full-time job with the Annis Water Resources Institute, which is part of Grand Valley State University. So I've been working at AWRI since 2010, so for 6 years now. I mostly do research, or I'm a research assistant, and I mostly do research in restoration projects all around West Michigan. So even in White Lake, I've done research in White Lake. Sadly, we don't have sailboats. We have john boats and pontoon boats, but I make it work. So I've also, I work closely with graduate students. I've helped 6 graduate students actually complete their master's thesis. I'm actually working on my MBA with Sustainable Enterprise currently. It's taken 6 years for me to start, but hopefully it won't take 6 years to complete. I've also co-authored several scientific papers and peer-reviewed articles, which I'm pretty proud about. But honestly, without all of your support, and there's a few faces I still recognize from when I was a student and an intern, but without all of you and all the community, I would not be standing here today and having the path that I went down and having that fire lit inside of me to save these Great Lakes and work with these Great Lakes, and realizing that there's a lot more cooler stuff than dolphins in these Great Lakes. So with that, thank you all, and thanks to Tom and his legacy and the Inland Seas that I had all of this, and it's so cool that you guys are going to have dorms here, although I loved staying with a few of the volunteers while I was here free of rent. But But, you know, it's going to be an amazing thing that you guys can have interns here on the facilities where you don't have to worry about commuting and that sort of thing. So thank you so much. Thank you for today and letting me talk with you.